starting the recording. All right, as usual, we'll just go around and do a quick update across all of the projects, give an update on the efforts around general availability of the Fulcio and Recore services. If Azra or others want to give an update on root signing, and then we'll go to other topics. So starting with Recore, Lily, anything? I guess Lily, I don't see on. I know there's been a couple bugs, and Priya, you also, I think, have been pushing up some PRs to deal with some of the sharding stuff. Anything you want to share on where we stand on that?
Yeah, I think it's mostly just that, like, for a lot of the different, like, pretty much all of our API calls, we need to be able to specify the tree ID. So if there are like inactive shards, we want to be able to get like log proof, log info, public key in case those things are different across shards. So a lot of it is just adding this additional like tree ID parameter to each API call, so we can like direct it to the right place.
Helps if I don't put myself on mute. If folks want to go take a look at those PRs and the additions to the API, would appreciate some more eyes on that. One other patch that got pushed up this morning on Recore, which is out for review, is removing, for those folks who weren't aware, in the very, very early days of Recore, we had the ability to upload a JSON document that contained URL links to public keys, signatures, or artifacts that the server would go and download and then verify the content on before making an entry into the log. Long been known that, hey, we need to go clean that up due to risks around SSRF, and just in general, we don't want to be in that position. So there's a patch that removes that capability across all of the different custom types. So if folks want to go take a look, I'll put a link to the PR in the notes. Anything else on Recore? All right, on to Fulcio. So Hayden, I'm going to flip the order of these real quick. So do you want to talk about the PR around certs or subjects?
Yeah, we've added support for 2 other subject types for the OIDC tokens. One would be for URIs, so you can specify any URI scope to a specific domain, and the other would be a username where we will append a pre-configured domain to that username, and then that gets included in the certificate. This should hopefully be helpful for other ecosystems that want to run their own IDPs. I created some documentation around what's currently supported for OIDC, and that's what I linked there. So feel free to go take a look at that. If you have any questions, let me know. I think one of the PRs, by the way, is still out. I think for usernames, that PR is not yet submitted. So documentation is a little ahead of itself.
Got it. The other PR that's open on Fulcio, again, a little quick history. So originally we had started both Recore and Fulcio to have open API specifications that were used as input to code generation tools. Given that Fulcio's API surface is pretty simple, and it brought in quite a bit of dependencies and just made Fulcio a bit bloated, Matt and others had removed that a while back. But part of the discussion that's come out of many of the work within Cosign of actually breaking apart a library-specific interfaces, which would include a Fulcio client and a Recore client, has kind of brought back this desire for maybe a simpler, cleaner interface specification that we can do code gen against that doesn't bring along all the bloat. So there's a PR that actually adds that interface through gRPC. Code works on my machine, the infamous saying, doesn't pass CI for some strange reason. So if anyone feels inclined to come behind me and inform me why it doesn't work in a kube environment but works just fine in Docker, I'm welcome to any input if folks are interested to dig into that. But in general, I know there's already been some good feedback in terms of tweaking the interface and how best to structure. We will leave at least my intent is to leave the HTTP interface and leave a RESTful endpoint for both Fulcio and Recore. but consolidate that into a single code path as we go forward. So we don't want to break pre-existing clients, but again, trying to just address the footprint issue when it comes to generating client stubs. Any thoughts or questions on that? All right, and then as usual, I will kick it to somebody else who focuses on cosign more than I do. So Dan or others want to give an update on what's going on in cosign land?
Sure. Yeah, we did the 1.6 release. Nothing huge since then. There's been a ton of work in the emission controller, though. I don't think VLA is here because the time shifted a little bit late. Anybody else that's been working on cosign want to jump in?
Going great. Yeah, we're pretty much to the first milestone, which I think basically would mean, I think in the next week we should be able to match what the current functionality is, but using now this cluster image policy that's been thanks Bob, that's been added. On the VMware side, we're going to try to scramble on that this afternoon and see what we can do to get done. And then of course VLA is a machine, so he's cranking out new details every day. That's all I've got to add for now, though.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Any questions on that? All right. If not, SCET, I know there was a roadmap published that was in last week's notes. I'll copy that back just for awareness, but unless there's any updates on that, I'm not aware of anything else that's happened in SCET land. Dan's shaking his head no, so. All right, so Priya, Hayden, I guess either of you would like to give an update on kind of where we stay on GA?
Yeah, for sure. So Nathan got the pen test environment up and running last week for our security audit. So they will have a report ready on the 28th. They gave like a quick update on Friday and they were like, oh, we've been looking at the code and haven't found anything major yet. So that's good to hear. But they still have 2 weeks, so we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, Carlos and Kenny released Pulsio 0.2 yesterday. So we are probably going to try deploying it to the pen test environment and then deploying it to production to make sure it kind of works as expected. Hopefully, if that goes well, we can start thinking about the 1.0 for Pulsio after that. Kenny set up releasing and GitHub action across a few projects. And in general, I think Adolfo is going to work on, he's been working on automating IAM permissions to the production GCP project. And I think all that Terraform code is like finally ready to be deployed sometime today or tomorrow. And also working on, we have a lot of Terraform written for a staging environment. So I think we're going to start working on automating deploying to the staging environment now. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on and it's all starting to come together.
Awesome. Thanks, Priya. Any questions? I know there's one in the AOB around staging and environments. I'm sure that'll come back up here in a second. But okay. Root signing. We did last meeting. We did a final call for volunteers, so we've tabulated that final list. Luke and Dan and I will meet with Marina and Santiago, the other key holders, and make that decision tomorrow-ish, and then we'll notify out to the community. Sorry, I didn't finish writing that sentence. Right, notify the community of who's been selected. Azra, do you want to give any update in terms of the timeline of once we make that announcement, what folks should expect?
Yeah, so we are currently working on, thank you to everyone who's helping, revamping some scripts for the V2 to V3 update, adding in like whatever we can to make verification like easier and the scripts cleaner. And so the key holder, we probably need to do a couple practice runs just to make sure the key holder's environment is set up. So expect like a root signing event to actually happen within like V2 or within 2 weeks of that. And if you are interested in like, you know, looking at scripts and have like some idea of tough, feel free to like check out what's going on at root signing, or there are lots of links to like my own repository where we're doing the testing over there. And like lots of things would help. Like creating GitHub Actions to do more testing would help. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to do stuff like that.
Awesome. All right. Shifting to any other business. Jacques, I think you were the one typing in, if I caught that right.
Yeah, I should have put my name on it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, so I got asked today by a RubyGems maintainer whether there was a sort of a blessed environment for doing pokey, experimental, try it and see work, or whether we're still pointing them to the production instance for that.
I would say at the moment, the correct answer is the production instance is just fine. I guess, Priya, I don't know if you want to talk about kind of the end outcome in terms of we are building in a proper progression from dev to staging to prod and gates and, typical GitOps patterns there. But I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more to that, Priya.
Yeah, I mean, we are setting up a staging environment, which will have its own endpoints that, like, in theory, people could use. And the plan is that, we'll deploy to staging first, and then everything looks good to production. But if people are interested in setting up their own staging environment, the long-term plan for all the Terraform code we've been writing is to make the Terraform module for setting up Sigstore public, and then people can kind of just like put in their own values for their own project and theoretically like deploy their own Sigstore pretty easily. That is kind of a longer term thing. We don't really have like expected timeline on that, on when that would be made public, but like eventually that is the goal. So it kind of depends on if people are okay to use the staging environment themselves, which would happen sooner, or if they really want to set it up themselves, which would probably take longer.
I mean, my hunch would be that open source projects will use the staging environment, and large enterprises will probably set up their own because they won't publish what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder as well to when we do get to a GA point of view, we probably need to have more explicit documentation around intended use of different endpoints that exist across the different services. So that's maybe a good thing to double check that we've got in the productization log.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Second bullet is mine. The OpenSSF/Sigstore TAC has purchased a booth for Sigstore at KubeCon EU in Valencia. So more of an FYI of the same presence that we had in LA at the last KubeCon, we intend to rinse and repeat. So as we get closer to the event, we'll be looking for any volunteers that might happen to be in attendance. We'd love to just meet you in person, as well as if you're willing to sign up for a little bit of booth duty here and there just to talk to folks. I think we had some really good conversations. Met many of you in LA, but hope to meet many more of you at various events as the world gets back to semi-normal. So more to come on that. Azra, anyone have interest on privacy/redaction design collab?
Yeah, so amongst others like Hayden and Zach and I have like constantly, like it's kind of come up at a handful of times, and Hayden's also like been doing a lot of reading on GDPR and stuff like that. And so I think I'm just going to start a doc and share it out maybe in Slack soon. And so if you're interested, also reach out to me there. Mostly around like concerns of like, okay, if we have like an entry on the log that needs to be redacted, like what do we do? And I don't think I have a solution for it, but I kind of just want to write up like a couple of the solutions that we have like thought about.
Cool. Any other comments or questions on that topic?
In the long run, there might be a case to be made to spend some money on lobbyists. I'm quite serious. As stupid as it sounds, I'm quite serious. Like this might need a political solution instead of a technical solution.
Yeah, I think it's a broader question that definitely could bring up in the context of some of the OpenSSF and White House relationships, or lawyers too. We like lawyers.
Yeah, most lobbyists are lawyers.
Yeah. I will note that we have had renewed conversations with legal at the LF around this specific topic. So you'll see shortly a PR being pushed up to cosign with an explicit consent prompt for you are uploading information with PII per the EU, because an email address is considered personally identifiable information. So we'll be adding that. And we're also trying to figure out what the right things to do in terms of Fulcio and Recore there are from that perspective. So more to come. I need to step away for a second. I've got somebody at my front door, but if folks want to go ahead and manage round of introductions, I would appreciate it. So I'll be right back.
I'm pretty sure my teammate won't volunteer, but I have Denny Wong on from VMware, has just hopped on to work with Tabitha and myself to help out. Say hi, Denny.
Hi there.
Thanks, Denny.
I'm Ashley. I've lurked at some other meetings before, but I'm joining Jack at Shopify to work on this a little bit more. So you'll probably see my face around a little bit more.
Hi, folks. My name is James Strong. I'm a lead solutions architect over at ChainGuard. So been using a lot of the Sigstore pieces and haven't had a chance to join the community meetings with my teammates. So glad to be here.
Awesome. Good to meet everybody. All right. Any other topics folks want to raise for today? Otherwise, we can make it short and sweet. Once, twice. Sold. Awesome. Well, welcome to everybody that's new, and we will see everybody next week. Take care.